Reese's Peanut Butter Cups are the greatest, but let me play devil's advocate here. Let's see. So, no, that's a good thing. That's definitely not a problem. Reese's, you did it. You stumped this charming devil.
Scott for Scots here. You ever want to grow new grass faster? Kind of like when you press the 2 times playback button on your podcast so you can speed through episodes. Except at Scott's Turf Builder Rapid Grass, you're speeding your way from a thin and damaged lawn to a thicker, stronger one in just weeks. Bit too fast, maybe slow it down. Okay, let's just go back to normal speed.
Get a bag of Scott's Turf Builder Rapid Grass today. It grows grass 2 times faster than seed alone when applied at the new lawn rate, subject to proper care.
Feed your lawn. Feed it.
Welcome to the family here on Purple Mafia. I am your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awajan. Purple Mafia is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podman, iHeartRadio, Spotify. You could go on forever. Stitcher, Double Twist. Thank you always for joining me today. TuneIn Radio, of course, which is a wonderful application as well. Just make sure you download and not stream the show because the downloads certainly help for a potential business in the future. Beautiful day outside. Beautiful clear skies. You got some, well, I guess it's mostly clear, but like 99% clear. You got some fall colors, some and some not, but that's fine. I'm not in any huge rush for the Leafs to all come down just yet. That just means more work. But Minnesota Vikings end up pulling out a victory in Houston, Texas. Final score today of 31-23. So, are we tanking for Trevor or whatever the heck you want to do? I don't know. But we beat a team that, well, they have probably, maybe of equal talent. Both of these teams have playoff level talent in terms of their star players, but, like top heavy and such. And the talent of the Minnesota Vikings offense is continuing to show for the most part. Not necessarily at the quarterback position all the time, but sometimes. Houston obviously has that at their quarterback position, especially compared to other positions. But, the coaching of Houston, not so good. Bill O'Brien just continues to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And, well, it just kind of is what it is. I don't like to come up here and act like I'm smarter than Bill O'Brien at coaching football, but I don't know. He's not that good. And it's becoming more and more evident to Houston fans, I'm sure. Strange decision-making down the stretch. Running the ball when you're trailing by, like, double digits with, like, not that much time left in the game. I don't know. Strange decision-making. Obviously, we already vented about the David Johnson move and Duke Johnson. That was where things got even worse. It's not only really running the ball, but they were running it with their backup running back. Not the guy they give up DeAndre Hopkins for or anything. Somebody named Duke Johnson. It's the other D Johnson, the other DJ in Houston, Texas. But, well, Minnesota wins the game. Do I feel super excited? Not yet. Obviously, it's way too early at this point. We're still 1-3. It's still an awful record. Kirk Cousins' completion percentage was decent, almost 73%, quarterback rating of 127.1. He did not turn the ball over, but there was the usual, he didn't sense pressure the way you'd like him to, but at least he didn't fumble. Multiple times, though, just the same old overthrow, underthrow nonsense. Generally speaking, he was accurate, but there was a key play late in the game, a couple of key plays late in the game where he underthrew the ball that could have pretty much put Houston on ice, and we wouldn't have had to worry about, some questionable coaching decisions by Bill O'Brien, or just thank God that thank God that the ball was not brought in the end. Boy, that was a close one by Fuller there. That was a close play that could have been devastating for Minnesota, and well, it wouldn't have given us a loss, but it might have sent things into overtime, and it's just a headache and a pain in the butt to go through that all over again. We saw Dan Bailey miss a field goal today as well, in the 40 yards range, 45 yards away. That was not the funnest thing I've ever seen either. Extremely frustrating. Britton Colquitt did not get another touchback. That's good. Still did not get a touchback. Brian Anger did, which helped us a little bit. He would have been spectacular for his overall average. 50 yards punting, and they're going to need Brian Anger as long as the coaching decisions and the offensive play calling is done by Bill O'Brien, who I thought was a pretty good offensive coordinator with the New England Patriots, but I don't know, the coaching tree. And, of course, that was only in 2011. He got the head coaching job for Penn State right away after that. But generally speaking, I don't know. It's just a mess in Houston. It's just a mess. The morale is not good. The fan base was booing. The fan base was frustrated. But on the other side of the ball, the purple and gold, this and that, that's the feature presentation of the show, I would have to say, is the Vikings out there playing well. Justin Jefferson, right back where he started last week. Didn't have the spectacular 77-yard play or anything, but again, making catches and forcing and getting yards after the catch. Adam Thielen, several big plays along the way. Justin Jefferson, again, was underthrown. That's the only target that failed. 4 catches on 5 targets. And Adam Thielen was underthrown late in the game as well, which could have put the game away. Just flat out put it away. Wouldn't have given Deshaun Watson the ball, given them an opportunity. Where they could have tied the thing up in 2-point conversion, who knows? It's just classic Kirk Cousins. It just is. He'll put up the numbers. He'll make the big spectacular throws. He'll just make some really good throws, per se. And then next thing you know, he'll underthrow a guy at the most inopportune time or overthrow Adam Thielen at the most inopportune time. And that's just how I'm going to keep feeling about it. Go ahead and unfollow me because I'm too negative. But I'm glad the Vikings won in terms of just the morale, the good feeling, and the fact that this offense is awesome. It doesn't matter who's calling the plays at this point. The talent is there. Obviously, Kirk Cousins has the arm. The mindset of a winning quarterback, I don't see it. But the arm is there. The special skills called the arm. A throwing arm is there for Kirk Cousins. He doesn't have the special skills of sensing pressure and that gamesmanship in those big moments. I just, it's there sometimes when it feels like it. I know Kirk Cousins wants to win. I know he has the competitive fire. That's why you get the "you like that" and all that. But at the same time, something's always been missing from Kirk Cousins. And that's why when he signed the giant contract a couple years back, in the first place, I didn't have that magical feeling like when Brett Favre showed up at Winter Park. I mean, I was dancing like Twinkle Toe, and I don't dance for nobody. I will never dance. So don't even ask me. Unless I score a touchdown and I'm making millions of dollars. That's about it. But that's not happening right now. And I'm 41, so it's absolutely not happening. That would be the only time you'd see me dance. What the hell am I even talking about? But no, at the end of the day, it's an offense with unbelievable talent at the top, obviously. And Kyle Rudolph made a couple of nice plays as well. Justin Jefferson, 103 yards. Adam Thielen, 114. And then, of course, you got, the MVP of the team, I'd have to say, when healthy, and he's been staying healthy. Let's knock on wood here if we can. That's Dalvin Cook, about 5 yards a carry. Just utterly consistent throughout the entire game. It was like 9 yards, 8 yards, 9 yards, 8 yards. One up with, again, 130 yards, 4.8 a carry, along of only 15. See, there was no big scamper, like 70-yard scamper, 65-yard scamper, something like that would bring the average up. Like, wow, 6 yards a carry. But, yeah, he had like 25 carries, and, there was that one big play. How many times was it 2 yards in a cloud of dust? Not that many. There were a couple, because you're going to always get that. And unfortunately, Madison had a number of those today, unfortunately. But generally speaking, obviously, he's outstanding. Some of the play calling late, when you needed those big plays, what was it, like 2nd and 9, and you go to Madison, that didn't make a whole lot of sense. Then you bring in Cook for 3rd and 6, and then you end up, that was a very frustrating moment in the game. I believe the Vikings end up kicking a field goal and missing on that drive, if I remember correctly. That was the drive where the field goal was missed. So the frustration was mounting with Viking fans. Strange decision-making there on the Viking side of the ball as well, not just Bill O'Brien. Definitely not. The only turnover in the game was a fumble from Mr. Carter on the other side on the kickoff, which the Vikings, again, had a guaranteed, well, they didn't have a guaranteed anything, but we had a very good chance of scoring a touchdown there. Obviously, because you're very deep in Houston territory, you're in like the 20s, and you fail, you end up kicking the field goal there. That was the one that was made. Okay, so that's okay. You got your 31-yard make, which again tells you how close the Vikings were. 31 yards? That tells you how close the Vikings were. I mean, very much in the red zone, and, it just was what it was. It just didn't work out. Frustration there. You got to see George Iloka get a significant amount of playing time today. It's nice to see him back with the Vikings again. Remember with the Cincinnati Bengals in the past, and a few years back, the Vikings, Mike Zimmer and such, didn't put him in, and everybody was like, well, you got the guy for a reason. He was actually pretty good at Cincinnati, and then he never played. But the more we see him now, it's like he looks kind of like he doesn't, I don't know, he's like out of position a lot. And that's not good for a safety when you need him. That was on one of the touchdowns later in the game. George Iloka was completely out of position on that one. He made a really good stop, though, on the goal line, which helped the Vikings big time also late in the game. So give him credit there. Huge stop there. He had 5 total tackles, did George Iloka. And the reason why Mr. Iloka had a significant amount of playing time in this game was because Harrison Smith got ejected on a big play down the field after a big, deep completion. And there was the major collision, I believe, on Atkins. Could have caused a concussion, a helmet-to-helmet type of play where Harrison Smith lowered his helmet. The announcers and everything were kind of like, what was he supposed to do, this and that, and so was Mike Zimmer. Mike Zimmer was furious. This was at the end of the half, basically, where the Vikings had the lead and were going to get the ball back, which sounds very familiar. And the Vikings stunk early on, which sounds familiar as well. Quick 3 and out. Houston marched down the field. Sounds just like last week, which was stupid, but that's how it goes. But no, the collision helmet to helmet, and that's just not tolerated in the NFL nowadays, obviously. It probably wasn't intentional. In fact, it really wasn't. It's just that still he's got to be more careful, him being Harrison Smith on that play. I wasn't really flipping out about it. I was just kind of like, uh-oh, kind of like that, because I knew that was going to be a big problem, that the center of the field was going to be a little more open, and Deshaun Watson was going to test George Iloka, and he sure did quite a bit, and that's why Deshaun Watson went from an awful, horrendous first half. He looked like garbage. Decision-making by Deshaun Watson. It wasn't just Bill O'Brien's decision-making. It was Deshaun Watson's decision-making that didn't make a whole lot of sense, and the accuracy was just off. He was just off for the longest time. But the lack of turnovers, his quarterback rating wound up with 110, and of course, again, the excellent second half by Deshaun Watson brought things up a bit. Still wound up with just over 60%. Back in the day, that was good. I remember when Warren Moon would complete 60% of his passes back in 94-ish. It was like, damn, he's good. And then it's like, compared to Jim McMahon, like 55%. But again, it's 26, 27 years ago. So it's like, what the hell am I talking about, right? 60% is not considered good nowadays. Like 72.7, like Kirk Cousins, 73%, not bad. Obviously, those are just very bare basic statistics, like completion percentage. But it's important, obviously. And Kirk Cousins' inaccuracy in those key moments is unbelievably frustrating, and it tends to happen a lot. Some people, they just, something's missing. Some people, it's just something's missing, and I've always felt that way about Kirk Cousins, and again, that's why I didn't get super excited about him coming from the Washington Redskins / the Washington Gophers. The Washington Golden Gophers was what they are now, the upside-down M. Upside-down Golden M, that's about it. Vikings defense, generally speaking, was okay, but the secondary was, it's what we're going to keep saying all season, a work in progress. Jeff Gladney, Holden Hill, and such made some big deflections during the course of the game. I was very happy about it. It looks like they took one of them away. It couldn't be. I thought Dantzler had one, but I know Holden Hill and Jeff Gladney both had some nice deflections, and this was early on when Mr. Watson of Houston was struggling a bit. It was nice. It was really nice to see, and Yannick Ngakoue got another stack in the game. He was wreaking some havoc along the way. Didn't get the big key play late in the game, which the announcers were calling for, like, let's shut Houston down, that type of thing. Guys like Greg Jennings, like, it's time for Yannick Ngakoue to make that big play. But it didn't happen down the stretch. But generally speaking, Ngakoue just continues to be the best player on the Vikings defensive line. There's no question about that. But, I mean, he stands out as probably the best overall player on the defense other than Eric Hendricks, who was just beautiful most of the game today in coverage and made a huge deflection later on in the game. Great play, and Anthony Harris as well. Very solid, I'd have to say. The corners are going to get tested, Gladney and Dantzler. I mean, they're literally rookies. And, it's scary sometimes. And Holden Hill, again, nice deflection early on, but the rest of the game, he wasn't that good. He made some big plays. He made some stops at times, and then he got beat. And then he made some stops, and then he got beat. It was just kind of a back and forth with Holden Hill, and I think he's a below-average cornerback in this league. Third year in the league, 8-game suspension last year, and ever since that 8-game suspension, since he returned, awful, I think. I think he's been well below average. His first year with the Minnesota Vikings as an undrafted rookie when he was supposed to go probably in the upper half of the draft, he was really good, and everybody saw some skill, some hope. You saw special skills out of Holden Hill that we're not seeing now. Is it a tell? Is it the fact that he just is mentally shot from that 8-game suspension? I don't know. Or he's just never really was that good. Maybe it was just a hot start and quarterbacks figured him out a bit. Whatever it is, he hasn't been that great. He was better today than other games, than the first couple games, but generally speaking, the first two especially, but generally speaking, oftentimes you see him behind receivers, and that's just not good. Obviously, it's a devastating situation. Gladney as well was beat on multiple occasions. Danster was beat on multiple occasions. I think you have a lot of hope with those guys. Holton Hill, I think he kind of is what he is. I think he is what he is, a below-average cornerback. He's a backup, and I don't know if he's going to be here much longer at the end of the season. We'll see. It depends on how things go and how well Jeff Gladney and Cam Dantzler, continue to develop. Dantzler does not stand out the way they were talking about in training camp and such, and mini camps and all that. That's just kind of the way things go there. Todd Davis, couple tackles, mostly special teams entering the game, this and that. Nice to see Ngakoue again get another sack. You got to see DJ Wonnum get in there as well for a rare sack. Good for him. Good for him, no question about that. Again, multiple pass deflections for our secondary. That felt good, but at the same time, they gave up lots of yards in the game, and especially down the stretch when it looked like we were going to lose the game. A Holton Hill very key penalty in a moment as well, which gave Houston a chance again later in the game when it looked like we were going to make a stop, and the next thing you know, it's first down Houston because of pass interference, and then the drive was still alive. Rhyme not intended, it just happened. That was very frustrating. No question about that. Yeah, it was extremely frustrating to see. But Holton Hill again, it's just he's kind of like he kind of reminds me of Trey Waynes, but like a worse version of Trey Waynes. A piss poor version of Trey Waynes, basically, is what he is right now. Like bargain basement, he'll allow the catch, he'll make the tackle, yay. He'll allow the catch and he'll make the tackle. You get the idea. It's just an ongoing cycle that continues to frustrate many. A Minnesota Viking fan. Again, as Kirk Cousins, his completions are nice at times, but then the inaccurate throws at the most inopportune times are what drive everybody crazy. They lead to one thing, like one thing leads to another when it comes to Kirk Cousins' incomplete plays. You get the incompletion. Now you fail on a play that could have been huge, could have put the game on ice. Next thing you know, magically, the other team, be it Houston, Green Bay, Indianapolis, who the heck cares? They're going to march down the field and make something happen. Happened with Tennessee too. So, it's just 4 weeks in a row with that one, and it's happened throughout most of his career, particularly with the Vikings. I guess I wasn't sitting and watching Washington and Golden Gopher games on a daily basis. And, of course, they were the Redskins, and I'll keep saying that because they were. They were the Redskins for 80 years. So it just is what it is there. Interesting scores we'll be talking about in segment number 2. Can't wait to talk about that. Segment number 2 is so much fun. So much fun, except for the Thursday game. But I guess that was actually quite entertaining, even though it's two hideous teams going back and forth. And, yeah, oh, my God, Adam Gase sucks. But so does Bill O'Brien. And so does Dan Quinn. Oh, man. They have no chance, do they? Do they have any chance of returning? Do they have any chance of making it to the end of the season? I have no idea. I don't know. Phil Mackey was saying that Bill O'Brien's going to be fired by tomorrow. He believes that just because of the horrible decision-making during the course of the game. But, well, he's the general manager as well, so we'll have to wait and see with that. Let's get to Justin Jefferson. Why am I just going on and on about negative crap? So I apologize about that. Obviously, the guy can create separation, and he just makes plays. And the way he's able to change direction, and his concentration level is off the charts. How many wide receivers have come here? They'll make the change of direction, but they just won't make the play. They just won't make the play, regardless if it's an inaccurate pass, this and that. The guy makes big plays, and I'm going to say this right here and right now. Obviously, a couple of different, they're different players, but there's some similarities as well. The fact that Justin Jefferson can break tackles and his shiftiness is able to get people, is able to create separation and break tackles, which is not something every wide receiver can do because maybe it's a lankier guy. They don't have the shiftiness where Justin Jefferson does. I already like Justin Jefferson more than Percy Harvin. I said it. I don't care. Go ahead and rip me. Go ahead and laugh at me. No, I already like Justin Jefferson more than Percy Harvin. There was always something missing with Percy Harvin as well. There always was. And one of the words was the big C, consistency. Just like Kirk Cousins, the big C, consistency. Yeah, well, he made the big drive down the field. Well, do it again. Damn it. Do it again once in a while, not twice a year. We could use it in the postseason twice. You might have to do it 4 times in the postseason to win a Super Bowl. Once isn't going to get it done. It's nice you win a game. You like that and everything, but I don't like the next week. I don't like the next week, buddy. Okay, sorry. Oh, man. But no, Justin Jefferson, a star is born. You know, he doesn't stand out like a Randy Moss, a Julio Jones. There's always that. There's always that uber tier, and I don't know if he's there. Maybe someday he will be. But clearly there's something serious going on with Justin Jefferson. Like, this guy is legitimate. Obviously, Adam Thielen is a Pro Bowl type of player forever. He is outstanding, and again, what a great week for him again. He did everything out there. He didn't underachieve in one way, in my humble opinion. Justin Jefferson, just gotta love what you're seeing there, though. Again, the way his concentration and his ability to make plays after the catch is what makes him so valuable. And again, I already like him more than Percy Harvin. I'm saying it, and I mean it. I mean it with everything I got. I really do. I'm happy with KJ Osborne as a kick returner as well. I see promise there. I don't see explosivity necessarily. I don't see Cordero Patterson running for 90 yards to pay dirt, but hopefully he gets free a couple times. It'd be nice. He's got some ability to create separation as well, and that's good. KJ Osborne, definitely some hope there. Nice fumble recovery as well. I'm forgetting the guy's name at this point. Yeah, he's been so much out of the mix. But gotta love it. The 6th receiver on the Vikings roster, basically, behind KJ Osborne and all the others, and Olabisi Johnson, who again he was unable to make a play. Olabisi Johnson could have been big. It's unfortunate for him. He's been buried now because Justin Jefferson. I think he's okay. I think Justin Jefferson's going to be a full-time wide receiver now, if we like it or not. He's going to get a lot of targets. He's going to be very special. Basically, Thielen's the Carter, and Jefferson's the Moss at this point. That's kind of how it is. Like, Thielen's going to be the reliable guy, but of course he's got a little more speed, I think, than Chris Carter. I think so. Carter wasn't that fast, but he could be at times. And then Justin Jefferson is that big play guy who can do something special. But what's good about him, again, is in traffic, the way he can keep his concentration and make the play, despite the fact, he's got somebody draped over him. He still makes the play. That's what's awesome about Justin Jefferson long term. And of course, Dalvin Cook's ability to just move the ball forward, just to be consistently moving the ball forward, moving the chains, running the clock down, except when Alexander Madison was in there and wasn't as good, even though I still think he's got starting running back material in him. I still think he could be, but we're thrilled as to have him. Dalvin Cook, though, again, his ability out there is something to admire in a huge way. Red zone, he's the biggest red zone threat on the roster. You want to say it's Thielen, you want to say it's Jefferson, you want to say it's jump ball Rudolph the Redhead tight end. I think it's Dalvin Cook, and I don't think there's any question about it. He is the best red zone threat on the team because his ability to break tackles is as good as we've had on the Minnesota Vikings, and that's with any running back we've had. I think he's better at breaking tackles than Adrian Peterson. Is he a better running back than Adrian? Not yet. He needs to stay healthy, obviously. He needs to be consistent, but if he does, he is going to be... If Dalvin Cook stays healthy, are you ready for big statement number 2? He's going to be a Hall of Fame running back. He will be a Hall of Famer in this league if he stays healthy. There's no question about it. His ability to just get around people. And that doesn't matter if it's the worst run defense in the NFL or the best run defense in the NFL. He still is a factor. He's still able to do something special when it matters. And again, a long of 15. He didn't have to break loose to still get that 130. The fact that he can get the first downs on a regular basis and with such ease, or set you up for the next play, 2nd and 1, that you're ready to go. You're just literally ready to go to keep moving the chains, and at least you get in field goal range at the end of the day. But in the red zone, Dalvin Cook's ability to get the job done is something that this 12-year host, 13-year host of Purple Mafia is enjoying very much. I'm enjoying it very much, and I've been blessed with good running backs since I've done Purple Mafia. Obviously, going back to 92. Obviously, I didn't do Purple Mafia until 2008, but 92 I had Terry Allen. He was so damn good, and then he had the ACL, and beginning of 93 before he got to play, and then it was just running back by committee the whole year. You had hope with Robert Smith, but he got hurt right away, and he wasn't that good right away. 94, You had hope with Robert Smith. He was just not ready to go. You had, I think he had chicken pox that year too. You had Terry Allen again, but he was a step slower. Still got to 1,000 yards, but barely. And then he was much better with Washington, like right after that. That figured, and he lasted for a while after that to Terry Allen. Eventually became more of a backup. I'm trying to think of, but then after that, Robert Smith became more of the main running back, but he kept getting freaking hurt. 95, 96, 97. And then 98, he finally stayed healthy most of that year, and it was a beautiful thing. I think 97 was Robert Smith's first year where he actually stayed healthy, and he was like a legit Pro Bowler. But he had big moments. He led the team in rushing all time because, unfortunately, Chuck Foreman didn't last all that long. He was only in the league about 7 years, but he was damn good. Adrian Peterson, obviously Hall of Fame. But then, to the point, I've been blessed since 2008, 2007 really, when I started doing video paladinolive covering the Vikings. Adrian's rookie year, I've been just damn blessed. Adrian to Delvin. But I was just basically going over how running back history was okay. There were some great years here and there, but now it's just been kind of like Favre and Rodgers for me when it comes to running backs in Minnesota. It's been like that in a big way, like Favre to Rodgers. It's been beautiful. It's just unfortunately Cook got hurt in 17, but he was here at the very least, and there was hope with him as being something very special for many years. With that said, let's pass out the awards for this week's matchup. The Fran Tarkington Award is going to go to Dalvin Cook. That's just how it's going to go. Of course, honorable mention to Cousins and Justin Jefferson. The Christian Ponder Memorial. Do I want to keep picking on Holden Hill? I don't want to, but I almost have to. Obviously, that penalty, I think, sealed it for him in a lot of ways. The offensive line was better. Drew Samia was terrible last week. He was definitely a Ponder Memorial type of guy. I don't want to keep picking on you, Holden Hill, but it's not been good, obviously. And it kind of sucks not seeing Irv Smith and Olabisi Johnson not getting involved at all. That's kind of sad and scary a little bit. Even Dan Bailey missed a kick. So there were some frustrating moments. Some of the weird play calling. Harrison Smith getting ejected was not good. It didn't help us at all. It really didn't. But I got to come back to Holden Hill again. He just gets beat too much. And again, the penalty, the key penalty, the pass interference penalty that kept the Vikings in a position to possibly choke this sucker away, which would have been depressing. It would have sent us to like 0-16 the way we're going. Okay, it wouldn't have been that bad, but maybe it would have. And I know you wanna tank for Trevor, but I don't know. It's not fun to tank though. At the same time, it really sucks. Kansas City didn't have the worst record in the league when they got the best quarterback in the world. They didn't have the worst record. You just make the move when you have to make the move. You get it done somehow, some way. Yeah, and Teddy Bridgewater was the last pick in the first round. He's not Patrick Mahomes, but he's still somebody that I would love to have quarterback of the Vikings for the next 5 to 10 years. Kirk Cousins, 2 years maximum that's it. Once the contract's up, it's like adios, bye-bye. Damn it, it's got to be. With that said, Christian Ponder has to be Holden Hill. And I'm sorry, Holden. It's not as bad this time, but I'm still passing it out to you. With that said, we'll be back for the fun, enjoyable NFL Roundup, NFC North Roundup, and previewing the Seattle Seahawks in prime time next week. Yeah, boy. Yeah. Well, that'll be that's what we're going to talk about in segment number 2 is playing the Seahawks. Oh, goody. And we are back here on Purple Mafia, segment number 2, time to look around the league and, of course, the NFC North. But unfortunately, the Green Bay Packers will be in primetime again tomorrow night. They will be joined also by the Chiefs and Patriots, which could be an epic battle. Or will it be? Now there's no Cam Newton. Coronavirus this, coronavirus that. You got Tennessee Titans up to 20 players, or 20 people, basically, coaches and players involved with that one, including the President of the United States and the First Lady. Yeah, well, it's interesting. Interesting planet we live on right now when it comes to that. Sunday Night Football flashing in the background as per tradition. for segment number 2. 49ers hosting the Eagles. I think we have a pretty good idea who's going to win that game. But it's still entertaining. Nice to see the Niners. Though Nick Mullen's going to be the quarterback for San Francisco again. Yeah, Philadelphia. Boy, oh boy. Not the same, is it? Not the same at all. Let's try to bounce around. You got the Thursday night game, as per tradition nowadays, which is okay. Denver versus the New York Jets. Adam Gase is, is he down to hours or is he down to weeks? Is he down to week days? Is he down to hours, days, or weeks when it comes to his job? I'm not trying to be an ass about it. It's just the way it is. I mean, it's just not a good mix. It was an entertaining game in terms of like the back and forth and the offense. I mean, you saw scoring. Isn't that what people want? I mean, don't people want, Kansas City 49, Los Angeles Rams, like Kansas City 56, Los Angeles Rams 49, or vice versa, whatever it was a couple of years ago. Isn't that what everybody wants? Come on now. Isn't that what we all want? Or does defense still count once in a while? Brett Ripien. Well, 61% field goal percentage, free throw percentage, right? Yeah, I had NBA Finals on in the background earlier. I'll be bouncing for that maybe here and there. But the passing percentage, completion percentage, not a good game. 3 interceptions. Brett Ripien, Mark Ripien wasn't that good either, by the way. But he did win to be fair, he did win the Super Bowl in the Metrodome many years ago. And Super Bowl 26. Melvin Gordon ran the ball well. Tim Patrick, 113 yards in the air. Good for him. This and that. New York Jets, Sam Darnold, Joe Flacco. And when I heard about Joe Flacco in the game with the Jets and the Broncos, it's like, he's on the Broncos. No, he's on the Jets. That's kind of funny. Completed a couple passes. Sam Darnold was just, he's not been an accurate quarterback. He really hasn't. He did rush for a touchdown, a 46-yard scamper. Good for him. Jamison Crowder, as I'll try to calm down here, 104 yards in the air. The Jets are just a disaster, though. It's a bleeping shame. It sucks. Frank Gore, again, get the cane going. His long was 6. Not 16, certainly not 60, but 6. 2.3 a carry. Yeah, the Jets suck. And Adam Gase is supposed to be this offensive genius. At least he was when he came to the New York Jets, and he's not an offensive genius. He's just not, and it's not working out at all. So if they want to salvage Sam Darnold's future, better make the move soon, because it's not working. It's not working at all. 37-28. Congratulations, Broncos, to joining the Vikings, or should we say the Vikings joining the Broncos as teams that are now 1-3. At least we got out of the winless department. Cincinnati Bengals joined the winless department as well. Good for them. So we're happy for all these teams. Of course, they were winless, but they had a tie mixed in, so they're one of those weird teams with a 1-2-1 record. The frickin' Eagles and the frickin' Bengals tie. Ick. Absolute yuck. Jacksonville started the season strong, and they're back to sucking again. 1-3 in the year. Jacksonville would technically be behind Cincinnati, and, well, maybe they should, because Joe Burrow is going to be an awesome quarterback. The cop or Civil War veteran, I don't know what you'd like to call him, but Gardner Minshew, the 80s cop, or still Civil War veteran. It's about 120-year difference or so. But, it is what it is. Who the hell are these guys? I mean, LaVisca, Chenault Jr., maybe he's your 6th wide receiver in fantasy football because you got real bored and wanted to have a 6th wide receiver, or DJ Clark Jr. They did well. I mean, DJ Clark Jr. got a couple touchdowns in the game. That's nice. James Hollywood Robinson, I like to call him that every week, I guess. He's been a solid running back for the Jacksonville Tankers, because I think Trevor would look good with that club. Maybe he would, but it would look good with Jacksonville. But I don't know. Jaguars are just, that's just been a nothing team for like 15, 20 years, I swear. Except for that one little year where they popped up and Blake Bleepin' Bortles almost was quarterback in the Super Bowl. Can you imagine that? Just because everybody else around him was good. Ooh, yeah. Oh, boy. Joe Burrow, yeah, he's going to be good. There's no question about that, but it's still kind of still a work in progress. The Joe Mixon, 151 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. Fantasy ballers rejoice. Again, I'm 12 years retired from fantasy football now, or is it 10 years? It's been 10 years. I don't miss it. I'm not coming back. So don't ask, right? No, nobody has asked anymore, which is funny. Tyler Boyd, 90 yards in the air. Solid game for Cincinnati. Nice to see them play well and finally get something going. 33-25 over Jacksonville. Hey, if you have to beat a crappy team to get started, so be it. This might have been the most entertaining game of the entire week, at least so far. Because, well, we'll see if San Francisco puts up like 660 against this Philadelphia defense. But, I don't know. We'll see. San Francisco's more known for their defense anyway lately. You know, it ain't Steve Young or Joe Montana anymore, or Jeff Garcia or whoever else. How about them Cleveland Browns? 49, speaking of 49ers, 49-38 over the Dallas Cowboys, the arch rival for the Niners back in the day. Very entertaining battle there. Baker Mayfield coming through, good for him. Jarvis Landry also on that reverse play, heaving the ball up to his strange-looking teammate, his goofy teammate, Odell Beckham Jr. What a nice play, 37-yard pass for a touchdown. Of course, perfect quarterback rating for Jarvis Landry. Good for him. One throw and a touchdown. I mean, that's a perfect quarterback rating. Dak Prescott and the Cowboys were mounting an impressive comeback, but the Cleveland Browns were just too good today, and good for them. I mean, I love it. I'm very happy. I don't like the Cowboys. I've never liked the Cowboys, except for when Randall Cunningham was their quarterback, and or at least for the short time Bill Parcells was the coach. I mean, I was enjoying Cunningham and all that, and I've always been a Bill Parcells fan, I guess. I guess I have been, except with the Patriots for some strange reason. I don't know why I didn't like him there, but I don't know. With the Giants, he was classic and all that. Prescott, though, again, trying to mount that comeback like he got last week, which I equally didn't enjoy a whole lot. That was a bummer. But Cleveland, though, this week, getting the job done. Good for them. 49-38. Very, very cool. Again, valiant comeback effort, but the Cowboys are 1-3. Don't look now, but they have the same record as the Vikings. And this was a team that was probably supposed to win the NFC East, and it's not looking good. The Eagles suck, the Cowboys suck, the Giants are not good, and the Washington Golden Gophers. Wow. You might get a 7-win division champion this year, and you probably will. They, what a mess. What an absolute mess. But Cleveland's 3-1. Cleveland is 3-1. Congratulations, Vince Germano, and his Lakers just came back after turning the ball over like 11 times in the first quarter, and the game's tied. That's just how it is. I mean, the Lakers and Miami Heat, that's just how that finals is going to go. I mean, it is. I mean, it is. It'd be nice to get a competitive 6 or 7 round series, but I think it's going to be 4 or 5. And Vince is scared to death, and I understand. Until you get the trophy, you're not comfortable. If the Vikings were blowing somebody out in the Super Bowl, my knees would be knocking until that clock says 000, man. I mean, I'm not satisfied until it's absolutely done. I don't care who they're blowing out. If it's 49-16 or something in the fourth quarter, just let the clock keep ticking, and then we can celebrate. Of course, the only problem would be anticlimactic because it would be a blowout. Let's stop dreaming right now. That's so far away from happening, unfortunately. Gotta love what Cleveland's doing. Maybe they can make some kind of a playoff run this year. I hope they do, actually. Myles Garrett, he's not busy, trying to kill people with helmets. He got 2 sacks, so he was able to accomplish that. Good for him. A couple of sacks there. He was able to knock the quarterback out the old-fashioned way with a couple of sacks on Dak. The sack on Dak. A very mobile quarterback, and good for him. That's nice, though. I'm very happy to see Cleveland doing well, especially after such a chaotic season last year. Very chaotic year. Detroit and New Orleans, this is always one of those high-scoring games, kind of sloppy. Detroit and New Orleans, it seems like it's always like this between these two teams. And the same team wins every Mickey frickin' time, regardless what it is. It's always the New Orleans the New Orleans Saints defeating the Detroit Lions. The Lions actually won a game so far this year. Because remember, they beat Arizona last week. Pretty impressive. New Orleans, though, with a 21-point second quarter. That made a big difference. Detroit tried to mount a bit of a comeback in the second half, but they fell short, just like we always like to say about our Minnesota teams in this town. They just fell short. Breeze, solid. Stafford, solid. Nice to see the 2 quarterbacks do well and all that. Adrian Peterson, only 36 yards on the ground today, so that's Hall of Fame all-time yards rushing watch, so to speak, with Adrian Peterson and Frank Gore. Neither guy had an impressive week. Frank Gore was in the 20s, and Adrian was in the 30s. That's how it goes because the Detroit Lions were behind forever. That's the one thing. I mean, the only way Adrian's going to get a starting job is going to be on a team that's not that good necessarily, unless it's a team that's spectacular everywhere else and desperately needs a running back. And right now, I guess that's Detroit. They're just spectacular. The ever-rich Alvin Kamara, again, got paid the same week as our buddy Dalvin Cook, along with Latavius Murray, the former backfield mate of our superstar Dalvin Cook, both getting a job done on the ground in a big way, both averaging almost 5 yards a carry. And Latavius Murray, 2 touchdowns. Kamara 1. 3 touchdowns between the two guys, and about 150 yards on the ground between the two. A very balanced attack by the New Orleans Saints. Pretty fun, actually. No Michael Thomas in the game, so Emmanuel Sanders got to kind of take over a bit, but Taquan Smith was the star of the day, at least in the end zone, with a couple of touchdowns. Fun, entertaining New Orleans team, with no doubt about it, and a lot of fantasy ballers like those New Orleans Saints, and that's not going to change for a while. It's really not, even when Breeze retires, I'm sure. Next week's opponent, we'll get back to that shortly, the Seattle Seahawks. That's just great. Seattle Seahawks in Seattle on Sunday night. Yeah, yeah, that's going to go well. I'm just being honest, okay? I'm just being honest. Okay, Tampa Bay 3-1, not bad. Then they mounted a comeback. They were getting beat pretty badly in that first half. There was just Chargers were piling up the points, and Tampa was just not getting the job done. Next thing you know, Tampa's ahead, and they end up winning the game. And Tom Brady, 5 touchdown passes. That's got to be a record for a 43-year-old in the NFL, right? I don't think a whole lot of 43-year-olds have thrown 5 touchdown passes in a game. And the Chargers' defense was actually halfway decent once upon a time, wasn't it? Like not that long ago. Justin Herbert with a 3-touchdown game as well. Very, very efficient game. Still quarterback rating almost 140 despite the interception. And Brady seems to be getting at least 1 INT a week, unfortunately. But still, wow, what a game for him. 5 touchdowns. That's got to be special stuff. The highlights were a lot of fun to watch. Mike Evans, 48-yarder. Still showing off that arm as Tom Brady. That was a legitimate 48-yard touchdown throw from Tom Brady. 48-yard throw from a 43-year-old. He still got it. That is awesome. Scotty Miller also a 44-yarder. O.J. Howard, 28-yard play. Keyshawn Vaughn also getting in the end zone. And Cameron Brett, only 1 play, 3-yard touchdown for him from the legendary Tom Brady. Ryan Suckup, the former Chief. Don't ask me how I know that, but I know. I know it from a certain podcast that I can't mention ever again. And Ryan Suckup, though, good job, I guess. No, he actually missed a kick in the game, unfortunately. Jason Pierre-Paul and Dominican Sue, all these old veterans assembling. The stars aligning for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to go to the Super Bowl this year, and they're hoping so. They got to get past Seattle or Green Bay, though, first, or might have to get past both. So that'd be quite an impressive feat for a 43-year-old quarterback with a fairly talented but aging roster around him. Damn good receivers, though, and it shows. Los Angeles Chargers dropped to 1-3, unfortunately. As talented as they are, they're just not ready yet, unfortunately. Antoine Winfield Jr. getting a couple tackles in the game. That's former Gopher watch right there, unfortunately. Unfortunately, our former wide receiver, not a factor still to this day. That's unfortunate. That is unfortunate. Yep. I wish the Gopher receiver was being a part of things there, but it's just not been happening. Hopefully someday he'll be in the mix and catching passes from Tom Brady. That'd be awesome. Baltimore versus the Washington Golden Gophers. Gotta love the maroon with the W there, but gotta just switch it around. The Washington Golden Gophers. Maroon and Gold club getting beat pretty handily by a Baltimore club that's, I think, very much a Super Bowl contender. As good as the Chiefs are, Lamar Jackson, solid game, couple touchdowns, an INT, only sacked once because he's just too fast. Dwayne Haskins Jr., probably a solid game as he's going to get. He didn't throw for any touchdowns, but did get 314 yards in the air. Quarterback rating of 90. That's pretty much all you're going to get from him at his best. I don't see a whole lot going on there. Very mobile on the ground was Lamar Jackson, getting a 50-yard scamper to pay dirt. Good for him. At least very mobile with 1 play. Other than that, it was just kind of short little things along the way, and probably some losses also, because that's just how it goes on occasion. Marquise Brown, 86 yards in the air. Terry McLaurin, 118 yards in the air for Mr. Dwayne Haskins. Good for him. But just an easy, solid win for Baltimore, and that's just how it goes. Just a better team. Baltimore is just a better team. Not a whole lot to say about that one, I'd have to say. as weird as that sounds. Carolina Panthers, Teddy Bridgewater getting win number 2 today, and he ran the ball in the end zone and all that. That was cool to see. 14-0 start to the game. Arizona marred a little bit of a comeback, and it didn't end well for them, unfortunately. 3 touchdowns for Kyler Murray. What a nice, solid game. And 78 yards on the ground. He did lose a fumble, unfortunately for him. 78 yards on the ground. Didn't throw for a ton of yards at Kyler Murray, but 3 touchdowns overall made him look pretty good. Bridgewater seems to be getting a weekly interception as well, which is frustrating. But still, that's just how it goes. He's going to get the numbers. He's going to get the interceptions, unfortunately, but he's going to throw for touchdowns and have some solid moments. Nice to see him scamper into the end zone. That was kind of cool. 32 yards on the ground today for Teddy. Not bad. And the Carolina Panthers are kind of sort of in the mix. Kind of, sort of. Arizona starting off the season so strong, and now, not really. Now Carolina has a tiebreaker over them. So if they were, if they were both trying to make the postseason with the same record, we know who would be in right now. It'd be the Panthers. It's plain and simple. Los Angeles Rams, New York Giants. Are the Giants the best team in the NFC North? Or, NFC East? No, they're not. They're 0-4. They're completely lifeless and listless. But so is the rest of the division, including the Cowboys, because they can't beat anybody. Except for miracle little comebacks at the end after they give up huge leads. And today it didn't work out. Yeah, don't get cocky versus the Browns now, Dallas, or anything. 17-9. What a snooze fest. Rams and Giants. The Rams are good, but only 17 points. Only 17 points, and the Giants are just, what they are. I don't know. That's like another Dwayne Haskins over there with Daniel Jones, I think, and Jared Goff. He's okay. He's okay. He's not a number 1 pick in the draft for me. There's just nothing exciting about these two teams, in my opinion. Just blah. I don't know. Sometimes the Rams are exciting. I'll get off my high horse about that. The Rams can be exciting, and the Giants' defense at least showed up to play. And I do like the Rams' uniforms a little bit. At least they're more old school than new school, per se, when it comes to the color scheme and such. I hated the color scheme from, what was it, 2000 on. Hated it with a passion. It was terrible. 2000 until a couple years ago. Just garbage. I don't have a whole lot to say about this one either. Blah. It's just nothing really to show. Buffalo, Las Vegas, entertaining, I suppose. And the Buffalo Bills are 4-0. The Vegas Silver Knights, the Vegas Raiders, after a 2-0 start, just like the Arizona Cardinals, dropping back to 2-2, a reality setting in for them, unfortunately. Josh Allen continues to put up solid numbers. He almost stumbled and fumbled late in the game, which could have really cost him. Derek Carr and Josh Allen both very solid. They didn't turn the ball over, and good for them. Stephon Diggs, 115 yards in the air. Got it like that. 6 receptions on 7 targets. It's a good team. It's just a good mix. Their defense is just really solid, them being the Buffalo Bills, that is. And now their offense again. It's just it's a nice, solid package of good players. Devin Singletary's all right. Josh Allen's very mobile sometimes. He wasn't mobile today at all, but he still got in the end zone, which is kind of funny. He was only sacked once. And mobility isn't everything, because obviously Tom Brady doesn't get sacked a whole lot just because he's savvy. He knows what he's doing. It's a combination of things. Either you know what you're doing or you're mobile, one of the two, and our certain quarterback really isn't, to be quite honest. So, that's just how that goes. Oof, boy, it's, I don't know. I feel bad. I'd like to see the Las Vegas Raiders get going again. They would have had their first home game last week, and then their second home game again, and nobody there. It's just it is what it is. Buffalo, though, really enjoying what they're doing. No doubt about that. Unfortunately for the New England Patriots, Cam Newton now, coronavirus situation, and what's going to happen there? I don't know. What's going to happen with the New England Patriots in that case? They don't have a whole lot of backups in New England that really make you too excited. So, I don't know. It's kind of like no man's land there. Patriots and Chiefs, we kind of have a pretty good idea who's going to win that game, unfortunately. And Packers and Atlanta Falcons, I think it's a pretty good guess who's going to win that one, too. It's kind of a pretty good guess. San Francisco, Philly, same thing, I think, even though there's still no score 5 minutes in at this stage. But love the classic 49ers jerseys. Just love it. And Nick Mullins is the quarterback, not Jimmy G. No Jimmy G right now, Nick Mullins. So, How's that for fun? It's not. It's not fun. I talked about New Orleans and Detroit, didn't I? I went off the cup again. I don't know what's wrong with me. I just get silly. It's like I get bored with Detroit so much. I don't even. I get so lazy about them being in the division sometimes. They're in the division still, Joey. Indianapolis and Chicago. Talk about a awful game. The Bears suck. Their offense is just garbage. It was kind of like. But here's the thing. It makes us look a teeny bit better, even though the Bears' offense is just crap. And their defense is awesome. It's their driving force, and that's why they were 3-0. Now they're 3-1 after a 19-11 loss to the Indianapolis Colts. But it makes us, it at least gives us excuses. It doesn't make you feel any better. It really doesn't make you feel any better. But at least it shows that as awful as Kirk Cousins was in that game, and the offense looked like fire Kubiak now. Just fire Kubiak or fire anybody. Fire whoever is involved with the offense and trade everybody away except maybe Delvin Cook and the two wide receivers, of course, Jefferson and Thielen, who both, again, were non-factors in that game. But didn't help that the quarterback couldn't hit the broadside of a barn in the game. But nobody's hitting the broadside of the barn against this Indianapolis Colts defense. You think about Frank Reich, you think about Phillip Rivers and all that, and you think, it's an offensive-minded team. No, it's not. It's not an offensive-minded team. It's a team that can get the job done offensively when they need to, and they can put up points when they need to. The Bears' defense wasn't bad in today's game. They kept the Colts to 19 points. That's not that bad. But their offense sucks, and they have a brainiac for an offensive coach, an offensive brainiac coach who's not producing. It doesn't help that you screwed up in the draft years ago and took Mitchell Trubisky when in the same draft where Patrick Mahomes was hanging around, you could have taken him instead. Didn't help at all, actually. San Francisco wouldn't have minded having Patrick Mahomes either at quarterback, as they were bragging about that one. Like, we snookered the Bears into trading up for Mitchell Trubisky. Yeah, well, you still didn't get Patrick Mahomes, did you? And you could have had Patrick freaking Mahomes in San Francisco. Oh my, you could have had that. It would have been like the 80s all over again. Joe Montana, the 49ers winning Super Bowls, because with that defense, to go with Patrick bleeping Mahomes on the offensive side, just give him receivers that are competent, and it's game on, baby. I mean, they'd be winning Super Bowls every freaking year. I mean, you might see your first three-peat with that defense combined with Patrick Mahomes. You might, because Kansas City's a bend, but don't break defense. Solid, smart players on it, but not spectacular. Back to the Colts, though. Obviously, a very strong defense. And if this team's a threat to do something, I think in the postseason. And this is a team I was laughing at. I was like, they're not going anywhere. They're going to be like 6-10, 7-9, maybe 9-7, and they'll get whooped in the first round. I don't think so. I don't think they're going to get whooped in the first round. As long as Phillip Rivers doesn't go ape-leap and make stupid mistakes, and Frank Reich can kind of rein that in a little tiny bit. Indianapolis Colts could at least get to the division round. And it's going to be interesting. They could. They could be a big threat in the postseason. Hopefully, for their sake, they keep it going, because that defense is good. That's a damn good defense. For them to do the job they've done on, when you look at how good the Vikings offense actually is, even with some of the questionable play calling and the quarterback that just is mind-numbingly frustrating. So, and you look at what they did to the Vikings a few weeks back, it's pretty impressive, actually. And now this Bears offense, which, again, isn't impressing anybody, but they did mount a pretty beautiful comeback against the crappy Falcons. Last week, Bears dropped to 3-1, and they're pretty much solidified in at least second place, because the Lions sure as hell aren't going to catch them, and I don't know. I still am not super confident the Vikings will, even with this exciting offenses we have. I don't see us doing super well against Seattle coming up. That's the next thing to talk about, the Seattle Seahawks. Are you excited? Are you ready for a Seattle Seahawk game with the Vikings on Sunday Night Football? Seattle and Minnesota, Sunday Night Football. Yeah, I don't care if there's a 12 fan or not. I really don't care. A 12-man type of thing. I don't care. They don't need it. I mean, they're 4-0 without it right now. They beat a Miami team that still stinks, 31-23 in Miami, by the way. They were just kind of screwing around, it seems like, but they end up winning the game in the end, and good for them. 31-23 Seahawks, but, I mean, it's just you have most likely the MVP of football over there. He did have an interception in the game, which is surprising, And on the other end, though, Ryan Fitz, non-magic, did absolutely nothing except rush for 47 yards. And sure, he threw for 315 in the air, but the mistakes and the timely, solid defense by Seattle was more than enough. DK Metcalf, David Moore, Tyler Lockett, even Greg Olsen being big factors for the Seattle Seahawks. And you get Chris Carson, the draft pick, was it 2 years ago now, got 2 touchdowns, 5 yards a carry. There's no way you're going to win a football game giving up 5 yards a carry. It's just not going to happen. It's not. Unless the coach on the other side is dumb and doesn't use the running back at all, like John DeFilippo, which is like the other. It's one thing if you run too much, and it's another when you don't run at all, when it's working. I mean, it's working and you're not running. That's why John DeFilippo got fired. That was actually happening against Seattle that year, a couple of years back. So remember that game super well, the Emerald Curtain. The defense actually looked decent that day, but it's mostly because our offense was just stupid. Seattle's pass defense was so good at the time, and the run defense was awful, and Dalvin Cook was playing spectacularly at that point. He'd come back from some of those nagging injuries. I expect Dalvin Cook to have a very strong performance again. I just see it. I just see that happening. No doubt about it. Miami, well, the running game wasn't anything spectacular against Seattle, but they were playing from behind most of the game as well, so it's like you can't get too excited. In fact, they were playing from behind the whole time, and if anything, Seattle was just kind of like, I don't know, we're playing Miami. Miami's defense is decent. I don't know. It just kind of is what it is. It wasn't an entertaining game by any stretch of the imagination. Good for Devontae Parker, though, 110 yards in the air. But generally speaking, Miami's just right now, they are what they are. They're waiting for Tua and hopefully a lot more. A lot of other prospects and future prospects to step up and hopefully make this team a competitor again. It's been a long time. I mean, you had Jay Fiedler and an 11-5 club with Dave Wanstead back in 2000. Outside of that, and that's 2000, folks. Like just 1 year after Marino left. Yeah. He was. There were rumors about him coming to Minnesota, and that didn't happen. And the Vikings wound up going with Culpepper, and it was a very, very fun season. Very, very fun season. But really, other than that, Miami has not been a factor in eons. They snuck into the playoffs 1 year and just got, like once in a blue moon, they would sneak into the playoffs and then just get absolutely destroyed. So it's just kind of sad but true. Shaquille Griffin and Shaquem Griffin. So there's a couple of Shaqs on the Seattle defense. You got the Shaq attack. Maybe that's their defense has certainly improved. There's a little more Legion of Boom again in Seattle. And again, despite Miami's defense being a little bit of a headache, which they can be, and they've kind of traditionally been that way since the Dave Wanstead era, off and on, forcing the interception on Russell Wilson. But generally speaking, I don't know. I don't know. This Vikings secondary against Russell Wilson, and then the Vikings run defense against Russell Wilson as well. Our only hope is that the Vikings' only hope to really stymie this Seattle offense, particularly Russell Wilson himself, is Yannick Ngakoue to have the game of his life, like 4 or 5 sacks, like a Jared Allen special where Jared Allen just went crazy because, but Ngakoue is obviously more versatile than Jared Allen, where Allen was just basically a pass rushing specialist, and that's fine. Hey, if you're super good at it, so be it. Ngakoue, if he winds up, that's the one way you could do it, is create such a pass rush that Russell Wilson just gets flustered and there's nothing more he can do. Just create absolute havoc on him. That's the only hope the Vikings might have. Ngakoue has the game of his life, but the odds of that happening are so slim against, of all people, Russell Wilson. That Seattle O-line would have to completely collapse. The Vikings secondary versus Russell Wilson, I just don't have a whole lot of confidence right now. I don't. The Vikings' chances of winning are like, say, Dalvin Cook has an unbelievable day. Something like, again, you're looking at old school football again if you're going to beat Seattle at the end of the day. I'm not confident Kirk Cousins is going to save the day versus the Seattle Seahawks. It would be Dalvin Cook. Again, maybe Justin Jefferson has just an unbelievable 200-yard type of day where it's like Randy Moss in Green Bay, 98, that kind of game where basically Kirk Cousins hurls the ball up, and even if it's slightly underthrown, Justin Jefferson is so open it doesn't matter, and it's touchdown time. like 3 passes, 3 touchdowns, 160 yards, and on 3 catches, and then winds up with like 200 total. It would take something crazy like that for the Vikings to beat Seattle. Do I see that happening? No. No. I do expect some interesting offensive numbers, though. Seattle's defense is not the Legion of Boom, but it's better than it was. I expect Dalvin Cook to get over 100 yards. I expect Justin Jefferson to be a big factor. Of course, Adam Thielen. But, I mean, Justin Jefferson should have a good day. It's going to be an entertaining game. It's not going to be the Emerald Curtain again. It's not going to be like that kind of game where there was absolutely no points. Kubiak is going to be... He's going to go old school a bit, I'm sure. But, of course, you're going to use your weapons to keep the Seattle defense honest. It's literally the only hope you have. But, I mean, even if we score 35 points in the game, which we very well might, you still... The chances of us actually stopping the Seattle team when it matters, particularly versus Russell Wilson and these talented receivers versus our rookie cornerbacks and crappy Holden Hill, I'm not real confident. Seattle's got to win the game, something along the likes of 41-31. It's going to be something like that, like a 10-point kind of game. I think the Vikings will be actually kind of competitive. It's going to be kind of like the LA Rams game a couple of years ago in 2018, but in the end, Kirk Cousins will fail. He'll literally like underthrow somebody, overthrow somebody, or throw an interception, or throw the ball backwards. It's going to be something like that, or just generally speaking, the Vikings defense is just going to get burned, particularly the secondary is just going to get burned at the end of the day. And with our luck, watch them suspend Harrison Smith now. No, I don't think they will. I think an ejection should be enough. He'll get probably a sizable fine and all that too, regardless how frustrating it is. That's just how it's going to go. But I'm thinking 41-31. The Seattle Seahawks are going to score a lot of points in the game. That's kind of how I see it right now. 41-31. Very high-scoring game. Entertaining stuff, but no win for Minnesota. Vikings dropped to 1-4 versus the Seahawks. I didn't even look at the history. Luckily, I haven't started to move on before that. Seattle 12-5 historically versus the Minnesota Vikings, dating all the way back to 1976, the year my wife was born. She was about a 6-month-old baby on November 14th, 1976, and the Vikings defeated the Seahawks in Met Stadium and en route to our final trip to the Super Bowl later on that year. 27-21, the Seahawks were a new team in the league because there was no Seattle Seahawks in the 60s. Vikings were beat by Seattle. Just a year later, 29-28, entertaining. Or no, 2 years later, 78, when the Vikings were dropping off and not making the Super Bowl anymore, and Fred Tarkenton was super old. Vikings ended up losing actually 3 in a row to the Seahawks. 1984, 6-year wait for that one. Only mustered 12 points. The awful Vikings, the 3-13 Vikings, tying Leslie Frazier's 2011 club 20-12 against the Seattle team then. And Seattle started to get kind of good by the late 80s. They were fun to watch. 1987 Vikings, a very, very good Viking team, got crushed by the Seahawks 28-17. But that was a team that had Kurt Warner as a wide receiver. Kurt Warner as a wide receiver. And he was a damn good one, by the way. That was kind of cool. And you had Mike Tice as a tight end. Pretty cool team, actually. Vikings finally win one, 1990. An awful Viking team. Well, a not very good Viking team in 1990. Yeah, they were crappy. 24-21, disappointing Viking team to say the least. 24-21. You don't hear about the 1990 Vikings a whole lot. 96 Vikings were not real good either, unfortunately. We gave up 1 billion points. That was when our running game was just awful. Our secondary was actually kind of good that year, believe it or not. But 42-23. I still don't know what the hell that was all about. Was that the game where Rick Meyer just tore us to pieces? I think it was. And we dropped the Vikings to 5-5 at the time, and we did make the playoffs. And it was it was John Freeze. Rick Meyer was already the backup. That's funny. I think Rick Meyer pounded us before that. I think he was on the Oakland Raiders and beat us. It was a joke, man. Rick Meyer, terrible bust of a draft pick. He was the number 1 pick in the draft. Some guy named John Freeze just beat the Vikings. Couple of touchdowns. Warren Moon was lousy playing against his future club, and that was the day that Warren Moon got injured. Yep, and then Brad Johnson took over, and he was the Vikings quarterback the rest of the year, and took us to a 10-6 record, if I remember correctly. Or was it 9-7, and we got beat badly by the Cowboys in the first round in that one. Lamar Smith. Wow, the legendary Lamar Smith. And Chris Warren, the former Cowboy. Chris Carter had 142 yards, but so what? Who cares? Joey Galloway was a superstar back then. I remember that guy for Seattle. Big-time player. Seattle just whooped our butts, though. Yep, Warren Moon. Yep, and I remember the crowd cheered. Warren Moon hurt his ankle, and I think that was it. He got injured against his future team, which is kind of funny, because in '97, Warren Moon was on the Seahawks. 2002, Mike Tice returns to Seattle. It was that much later. 6 whole bleeping years later, and this was when the Seahawks were, well, they had players that took them to the Super Bowl a few years later. It was only 3 years later, but the Seahawks were 0-3. The Vikings were 0-3. 48-23. Oh, oof. I still remember Mike Tice snapping that gum. Snapping that gum over and over and over again. Just looking at that scoreboard as the Seahawks put up 31 points in that second quarter. And Culpepper turned the ball over like 55 times that season. No joke. It was, I think, even more than that. He had a couple of interceptions in the game, and Trent Dilfer. And this is when he was actually really good with Seattle for a couple of years after winning the Super Bowl with the Baltimore Ravens. He was very solid with the Seahawks for a couple of years. He didn't have that great of a game, but it wasn't that bad either. He was just good enough. And Seattle a couple of years later with Matt Hasselbeck taking over because he knew he wasn't going to play in Green Bay. It's just not going to happen. I think Hasselbeck must have been hurt or something because Mike Holmgren was already coaching this club, right? Yeah, he was already the coach of the Seahawks by then because he left after '99. So, yeah, Michael Bennett. This is one of the years he was actually halfway decent. 91 yards on the ground. I think this was his one good year actually with the Vikings. But Sean Alexander, and future MVP, and then did absolutely nothing after he got the MVP. 4 touchdowns in the game. 4 touchdowns in the game against the Vikings. Wow, that is all. That is all. Mill Williams was a Mr. Do Everything in the game, but it didn't matter that much. Man, good Lord. Oh, I'll never forget that game. That was awful. It was just, it's games like that made me hate the Seahawks. Because it's just like, screw your stupid fans. Your team sucks, and you're having like a crazy good day, and you're just trashing us. That's how I felt about that team then, and I still do. I barely remember this. The Vikings actually blew out the Seahawks in 2003, 34-7. That's just crazy. I can't even envision the Vikings doing that to the Seahawks, but I guess it happened. Randy Moss, Culpepper, all that. This is when Culpepper was having an awesome season after that awful 2002 year. He was so good. And then Culpepper hurt his back, I remember, later on during that season. Michael Bennett, 103 yards on the ground. This had to be like his best game in forever because after that first year, he was awful. For that one strong year for Michael Bennett, he was pretty awful. And then Wizinator, Ontario Smith, Eddie Johnson. Oh, yeah, that was the punter. Yep, that was the punter. I remember that when he ran for a first down, if I remember correctly. That's kind of funny. Yep, that's kind of funny, actually. Bobby Ingram. Wow, these are some old names. And Corin Robinson when he was at Seattle. Huh. Cool. Culpepper, good solid day on that one. The Vikings and the Seahawks 8-5 after that game. Impressive win for the Vikings against a pretty good team because the Seahawks were getting good by then. Let's see where we were. Yep, then we played them in 2004. We lost 27-23. And then that very impressive Chester Taylor game in Seattle, 31-13. That's the last time the Vikings won in Seattle. 2006, a very, very memorable game. This is, again, the Seahawks on their Super Bowl loss hangover, so to speak. Vikings jumped to 4-2. Seahawks dropped to 4-2. It tells you how terrible the Vikings were after this game. Because the Vikings finished 6-10 that year. Just think about that. Brad Johnson was just mediocre at best because he was so past his prime. Mewelde Moore threw a 15-yard touchdown pass. Seneca Wallace, what the hell? Yeah, because Hasselbeck must have got hurt during the course of the game, and Wallace just terrible. Yep, there it was. Chester Taylor, 169 yards on the ground, and he had a 95-yard touchdown. 3 touchdowns in the game. Very entertaining game. And Quest Field. Now it's probably, something else, because Quest no longer exists. It's CenturyLink, and it is CenturyLink Field. Yep, it's just kind of funny how all that works. The Vikings did beat the Seahawks 2 games in a row, if you can believe it. Because the Vikings won in 2009. Seahawks were not good that year. This was that in-between time when they got, after they lost the Super Bowl to the Steelers, and then they kind of started to suck a couple of years after that. And Brett Favre was the quarterback of the Vikings, and it was the magical 2009 season. That was a lot of fun. November 22nd, 2009. Very easy 35-9 win in that one. And I actually did a show for that one. 30-20 loss in 2012. 2013, 41-20. So the Vikings have lost 6 games in a row to the Seahawks, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be 7. And I'm not trying to be rude. It's just the way it is. 41-20, again, like I just said, 2013. And then 2015 in December 6, 2015, a very strong year by the Vikings, 11-5. But this is when Harrison Smith was injured, and the Vikings secondary was just poo, just absolute poo, and nothing went our way. And it was in TCF Bank Stadium at the time. This was during that time when the Vikings got just whooped by the Packers and the Seahawks back-to-back weeks. And that just wound up being depressing as all get out. Think about how good the Vikings could have been that year. We could have been 13-3, 12-4, but we just were just decimated in these games. If we could have pulled off something. Then you had the 3 deadly sins. January the 10th, 2016. The only playoff game ever played in TCF Bank Stadium, and we were back outdoors at the cold again, and that deadly tough Russell Wilson was shaken and scared, he wasn't scared, but he was very much shaken by the cold. You could see him shivering out there, and Teddy Bridgewater was solid. We kept the Seahawks to absolutely nothing, and then you had the 3 deadly sins with Josh Robinson giving up what should have been a 4th and long. Vikings would have had the ball back and probably would have iced the game. Adrian Peterson fumbles, and then, of course, Blair Walsh misses the kick. It was just complete crap. Thank you, Adrian Peterson, by the way. Thank you. Thank you once again for screwing us in a playoff game. Seahawks win 21-7 in 2018 during that crappy second half of that year. And, that was the one. That was where Mr. DiFilippo got fired after that game. It was just complete crap. Or was it after the Patriots right after that? I'm mixed up. I think this was the one. Yeah, the Patriots was the week before. And then we fired DiFilippo and gave Mr. Stefanski a shot there. Kevin Stefanski. And December the 12th, last year, Seahawks win 37-30. Vikings were actually competitive, but did not win the game, unfortunately. Would have been nice, but it just didn't happen. It prevented the Vikings' chances of having any type of a division championship, first-round bye type of situation. That was pretty much all she wrote. Whew, with that said, that was a mouthful. Seahawks, 12-5 overall versus Minnesota, and I do not think the Seahawks are going to lose to the Vikings next week. With that said, sorry for going so long again. When I go down memory lane, I can't help myself. It's very memorable with this team. I wish it was more positive. With that said, we'll get back for some fan interaction right after this. And we are back here on Purple Mafia, segment number 3, fan interaction segment at Purple Mafia Show. At Purple Mafia Show is the Twitter account. Unfortunately, no call-ins this week. Just felt a little more quiet, more melancholy this week for some reason, but at least we won too, so we're not as pissed off and animated and stuff, or just like analyzing exactly who we're going to be taking in the draft already. We're not talking about the draft just yet, even though I'm sure that's not too far away. Yeah, I'm not that confident in the roster just yet, but thank you for retweeting Tanae Brown and Malcolm McSween. Tanae Brown out of New Zealand, Malcolm McSween out of Southern California. In Malcolm McSween's case, thank you very much. Mad Martin out of Northern Scotland. So we're going north, south, and to New Zealand. Pretty cool. Mad Martin says, another good podcast. Not finished it yet, but with you on Cousins, eating cap is bang on. Yep, and you're the one that said it also, my friend. It's just been absolutely frustrating, to say the least. So let's see, continue exactly what he was saying here. Pay top 5 quarterback money, expect top 5 performance. He is just too inconsistent. That's what it is. Inconsistent. Mid-tier quarterback should get mid-tier money. And to me, he is a mid-tier quarterback because of the lack of, the lack of vision, basically, generally speaking, from Kirk Cousins, in my humble opinion. It's not about bashing and all that. And I think I lost like one person from Facebook. I don't know what it was. It's like, at least it's not more than one. But I don't know if I'm too negative, I'm too positive, I'm too this, I'm too that. I'm not, you know, I don't know. My politics bother you? I don't know. I don't really talk that much politics. Maybe I'll throw in little hints here and there, but I don't make it a big thing. So that's just, I don't know. I don't make it a big thing, generally speaking. Mad Martin continues. I better stop it. Way too much money invested, hence nothing left to put players in place to help his performance, like an offensive guard or tackle. Well, tackle especially. That would just be absolutely helpful in a big way. Oh man, we're dying for that. You're absolutely dying for that in this part of the country. Elite quarterbacks can drag a poor team up into the playoffs. He cannot do that. End of debate. Yeah, it was kind of like Kirk Cousins helped last year the Vikings get there, but I think it was kind of a little bit of everything else that got us there. At the end of the day, some strong defensive games, not by Xavier Rhodes or anything, but by this and that. And Dalvin Cook was unbelievably like MVP like in the early stages of the season last year, before it got to a point where he couldn't land on this side of his body. See, that'll just make it worse. Yeah, I don't know. Mad Martin was saying solid start on both sides of the ball, and generally speaking, the Vikings were solid. He says the loss of Harrison Smith showing right there for the D, starting to get that bad feeling about this game. Yeah, because the Vikings were starting to choke away in the second half. He says we need them to support the D. We get what we'd expect. When we need them to support the D, we get what we expect. Yep, there's absolutely nothing. Last week we witnessed what a weapon a clutch kicker can be. I never expect Bailey to make anything 45 plus at this point. I'm with you, brother, on that one. Let's see, what was he? Yep, that was Malcolm McSween, and yeah, that was Malcolm McSween, not Mad Martin. I apologize there to both of you there. At the end of the day. So we'll keep moving around here. But yeah, for me, Bailey. I forget what is it. I did respond to him. Yes, I did. I was saying I agree with that. I don't feel super confident. He's solid but not strong. So he's one of those guys who can make kicks like 40 in. Like he's going to make pretty much all of those. But then, other than that, it's like, it's just like, not nothing special really. Other than that, you can't really count on anything too far out. Mad Martin. Now, what was I saying when he says, I'm with you, brother? Okay. Oh, yeah, I was saying Cousins cucks. Basically, like Cousins sucks. Yeah. And now Bailey can't make anything. So great. Bunch of losers. I was ranting, so apologize for that if some of you are so mad about about me saying that. He says, when we need them to support the D, we get what we expect. I was saying, hopefully this time it'll be different. Keep going back to the draft. I keep going back to the draft. And he says, I'm with you on that, brother. Yep. There's just no questions. Mad Martin says, at last a victory, but the Sea Chickens are next. Yep, and that concludes the Twitter account. Again, at Purple Mafia Show. No questions about that. No questions about that. So, we'll continue from last week's show on the Facebook page, facebook.com/Purple Mafia Show. Facebook.com/Purple Mafia Show. Episode 322, No Leadership When Needed Most, was the title of that episode. Gerald String on Nebraska says, looking forward to giving a listen. Sounds like a lot of missed opportunities. Yeah, there's no question about that. You try to bury a team at opportune times and you just don't do it. I mean, that's going to kill you. Again, all comments are relevant, so they all matter. They're all relevant, this and that. Dave Hickey out of Iowa says, now, this was about, I was saying Titans-Vikings suspend in-person activities after Titans 8 positive COVID-19 tests. And overall, apparently, it was 20 people involved with that team, which is insane. Dave Hickey says, this is where the Vikings always seem to get screwed. Basically, get one day of practice where the Texans get several days, and the Titans are to blame for that. They had team staff test positive a couple of days before they played the Vikings. They should get fined or lose draft picks. Yeah, that was really frustrating. Dave Hickey was saying another nail-biter. Somehow this one wound up on the... Oh, weird. Yeah, somehow his comments wound up on this one, because it was like today's game. That's weird. Brad McCarthy says, well, I guess we will be off this week. Okay, this is 5 days. Yep, we thought we were going to be off, but we weren't. Gerald String says, hey, maybe we won't lose this weekend. That was funny. Ioka sucks, according to Dave Hickey. Yeah, he was frustrating. Kurt Back says, does that mean no football? And luckily, the Vikings had 0 positive cases. So, pretty damn cool, actually, at the end of the day there. Where's the in-game thread? 32 comments. All of that good stuff. And now here's the in-game thread. Dave Hickey says the Vikings got lucky there. Maybe I should scroll all the way down. And I hate this most relevant nonsense. It's all comments, damn it. Though maybe it'll scramble everything. I wish it would show the older ones first and the newer ones last, but I guess we'll just scroll upward. Okay, that would probably be the smart way to do it. Brett McCarthy was saying need to get Jefferson going. Brett McCarthy out of South Dakota. Dave Hickey out of Iowa. Dave Hickey says this is where we see who Kirk Cousins is. Is he going to be a failure or lead this team? Well, I don't think he led the team. He luckily didn't screw us in the end, but he almost did with those underthrown passes. So, yeah, it's really crazy when you think. He says, side note, those Baker Mayfield commercials are so stupid. Well, that sucks. Smith is out. He knew it, too. Yep, Brett McCarthy, yep. There was a lot of good morning. Cook is on fire. Unreal. Get a drive going and stall. Yep. Yep. Kind of in ongoing stuff. And I was saying, Cousins cucks. Yep, it generated. I thought that generated a reply, but it didn't. Weird. Oh, no. Now something just went way off here. It went to my profile. That's kind of dumb. Great. Don't you just love when Facebook gets funky on you? Let's see. Let's go back to where we were. Okay. Skip all of my stuff, of course. Dave Hickey says, this is where we run into problems. Zimmer doesn't make halftime adjustments on what teams are going to do. It hurts losing Harry the Hitman, too, especially when I'm wearing his jersey today. Oh, wow. Nice. Very cool there. Luckily, it got you some luck despite the ejection. Mark Carlson, Iowa, says, I can't believe we are 0-3. Here we go, week 4. Please, no turnovers this week. Dave Hickey was saying, what team are we going to get today? Hopefully not the unprepared team for the first 2 weeks. Last week was a normal team that screws himself and makes mistakes, but is competitive. Jesse Ball says, somebody has to win. I want to tank for Trevor, but we re-upped Kirk sad. So now, I don't think Trevor is possible. No one in their right mind would pick up Kirk's contract. Yep, I understand that. Brad McCarthy was saying, damn, Jefferson catches everything. Yeah, he's like glue hands, man. Just like how they joke about how that commercial with the garbage can, how Stephon Diggs couldn't get his hands off of it because he's got glue hands, this and that. It was kind of funny. Dave Hickey was saying it's going to be up to Cousins because the Texans are going to tie it up, and they just about did, Dave. Boy, we are lucky we got that call in the end, aren't we? He says Vikings got lucky there. Yep. The call against I can't even remember the receiver's name anymore. I've kind of moved on, but obviously that's one of the star receivers for Houston. Brett McCarthy says, guys and gals, this is a young team, going to be a lot of ups and downs on the Thielen. Lots of ups and downs on the Thielen touchdown. If the offense plays like that and starts to gel, they'll be fun to watch. And I think that's exactly where we're heading at the end of the day. I do. Vikings very fortunate, though, on that fact that the ball was there was no control of the ball, where Houston should have been able to at least be in position to tie the game up. But the ball was not controlled. It was an incomplete pass, no doubt about it. The ball hit the ground. It was kind of bouncing and all that. That was Will Fuller there in the end, and the Vikings super lucky, as that was one of the few target. That was the only target in the game where Will Fuller didn't make the catch. Great, it was a great play, but he just couldn't hang on to the ball at all. Luckily, the Houston Texans couldn't really get Randall Cobb going, other than a big play down the stretch, that 23-yard reception that got Houston moving during that final drive. But again, thankfully that did not kill the Vikings in the end. Let's get to the post-game comments. Again, a bit quieter this week than in past weeks, and I can sense it. Hopefully the numbers don't dip too much. Hopefully you haven't all given up on the show either and think it's not fun anymore. I apologize if that's the case in your mind. Mark Carlson says, I really wasn't expecting the season to start like this. I also didn't think the team would win today either. Can we get a safety that has more speed and can cover a receiver without giving up so many yards? I think the team lacks confidence. Yeah, I mean, there is a lack of confidence in that secondary, no question. Except when they make a stop of some kind, they make all kinds of gestures like Holden Hill, no, not in my house. That's been an open door a lot of the times, Holden. Come on now. And hopefully Holden Hill can regain some of that confidence and improve. as there were early moments in this game, it looked like he was improving. Dave Hickey, again, Iowa, says, well, we escaped Houston with a hard-fought victory. It should not have been that close, but a win is a win. Skol. Yep. Cedric Paulding out of Mississippi says, feels great. Good to get a win and see the team improving. Skol. And yeah, I think they improved a bit, but also Houston. Whew, what a mess. Dave Hickey says, you like that, Mike Fellers. Yep, Mike Fellers. I gotta like that. Mike Fellers, Drew Evans, right? Leland Albertson, there he is. He says, it's like the preseason is over. Let the games begin. I hope so. Brett McCarthy says, take it. Going to be an up and down year. Defense is shaky. Yep. Jeff Froyland, welcome back, says, it's not too often the Vikings win on a technicality. Yep, that meaning a close play. I'll take it. Though Saints fans would argue with that about last year's touchdown with Kyle Rudolph. I don't think it was a push-off. I think there was contact on both sides. But, again, Saints fans would argue with the unfortunately. That's just an unfortunate, frustrating reality at the end of the day in that one. So that concludes the fan interaction. Yep, definitely smaller this week. But it's okay. It is what it is. Maybe we just want to get out of here and move on. That kind of thing. Yep, I've been kind of melancholy feeling. I'm not too excited, I'm not too down, not too excited, just kind of melancholy right now. And I apologize if I hope that doesn't bother anybody. It just was that kind of day where, yes, we won, but it's not exciting, and we're not angry either. We're not angry either in terms of like, what the bleep was that? That was the worst game ever, and we need to get rid of everybody. Blah, 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 blah. Still can't believe Kirk Cousins is the quarterback. Yep. Well, that is true. I wish he wasn't the quarterback after this season, but what are you going to do? That's just where we stand. The stars for the episode, I think Dave Hickey's got to get the gold star. Mad Martin's going to get a nice, juicy silver star because he's a legend. And bronze star, I'm going to go with Malcolm McSween. Nice tweet there. Thank you again very much. Very, very quiet day, guys. But I appreciate the comments, though. I mean, you're still the backbone of the show. Every one of you is the backbone of the show. I appreciate you all like you wouldn't believe. Keep commenting. Thank you, Malcolm. Always love to hear from you. Hope to hear from you more and more often. Cedric Paulding. Mel, every one of you, though. I mean, you guys out of Iowa, Leland and Mark and Dave Hickey. Just legends. Absolute legends. Always appreciate you. Brett McCarthy's like a backbone type of guy, too. He's going to get a bronze star just because he's always there. Just love that guy. Thank you, Brett. You guys are just, again, the backbone of the show. Can't thank you enough. You keep me coming, and hopefully I can keep you going also as well with this club and this league, despite, the frustrations from COVID, the frustrations from political this, political that, and the frustrations of the play on the field and the poor cap management due to, the cap management's been fine until the Kirk Cousins signing. That's when you realize the cap management isn't so good simply because of one player hogging up the whole damn salary cap, and he's not that good, actually. If it's Brett Favre, if it's Brett Favre at 32 instead of Kirk Cousins, I can understand that kind of money going that direction. Like an Aaron Rodgers, like a Drew Brees, like a Tom Brady, like a this, like a that, like a Patrick Mahomes, like a blah, 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 blah. I could go on for 50 years. Every Hall of Fame quarterback that's ever existed. Steve Young. I mean, you could just go on. This and that. But instead, we got Bernie Kosar, or whatever the hell you want to call him. A guy with a big name and a big arm, but just small production, small results. Some numbers sometimes, but not enough. Tough times don't last. Tough guys do. Well, it seems like good times don't last either. The tough times don't last, but the good times don't last either, Kirk. I keep calling him Kurt, like my friend Kurt back on there. You see a lot of times. What an awesome guy he is, by the way. Hope you're listening, Kurt, by the way. Can't thank you guys enough for always being a part of this show. It's nice to look at the beautiful fall colors, but spring cleanups are coming, or fall cleanups are coming soon. I wish it was spring cleanups. I do, because that would mean more sunlight. That would mean a lot more sunlight. I'd have a lot more energy than I do nowadays. This time of year, I just kind of get like, especially in the mornings when it's time to cut grass for like the last couple times, and then it's off to frickin' cleanup season, which is some of the hardest times of the year because it's dark and you can't get up very easy, and then you get rushed like hell because everything's got to get done by a certain day. That's just the way life is sometimes. Hope all of you are doing well. Again, check out the Gone Puck Wild if you like. I'm a writer there now. My other podcast, Brave the Wild for hockey, Timberwolves Explosion for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Major shout-outs to all of you out there, and just thank you all again for keeping things coming. Please give a positive rating for Purple Mafia on iTunes, or apparently Stitcher. You can do that as well. I just realized somebody wrote a extremely complimentary review for Brave the Wild. Not for Purple Mafia, but for Brave the Wild on Stitcher. That was just something. I'll read that on the next Brave the Wild episode. Wow, what a fun one. Hockey draft's coming up, so again, keep up with that if you give a crap about hockey. I do. Hopefully you do as well. Otherwise, again, please call in if you could. I was almost about to recite the number. There's no number anymore. That's long gone. Just treat your phone or just treat your smart device like a phone, because it is a phone. Use the free voice recording application and treat it like a phone call would make more sense. Just open it, press record, treat it like a phone call, hit stop, keep it to like 5 minutes or so, and email it to me at paladinolive@yahoo.com, or share it is an easy way of putting it. paladinolive@yahoo.com. That will be in the show description to make things easy for copy, paste, all that good stuff. And then I can convert it into an MP3 file thanks to Zamzar.com, who do a very, very valuable service to this show whenever I get calls from Dave, Brent, Gerald. And if I did miss a call from any of you, I deeply apologize, because I looked, I didn't see anything. Please do call in. I want to hear from somebody out there. Mark Carlson, haven't heard from you in a long time. Dave Hickey, haven't heard from you in a long time. Sebastian Barton, if he happens to be listening, wouldn't that be great to hear that voice again? Oh, that'd be amazing. All that energy and excitement. And no, he turns it to anger, especially at this point in time. I don't think he's a big Kirk Cousins fan, because there's no way he's a big Kirk Cousins fan. If I'm not, he's probably not either. But no, I want to hear from you guys again. Dave Martin's just the greatest. When he calls, it's just like, yes. It's just so good. So hope all of you are doing okay. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay everything. And we will talk to you in a week and see if the Vikings can pull off a miracle.